Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at social learning theory as applied to gender development, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of gender. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Social learning theory, SLT, primarily developed by Albert Bandura, explains gender development as a process rooted in socialization and experience. It suggests that children learn gender roles and behaviors by observing, imitating, and internalizing the actions of others in their environment. Children learn gender-appropriate behavior through observing others, models, particularly same-sex role models such as parents, siblings, teachers, peers, and media figures, TV, films, books, games. Modeling refers to the demonstration of gendered behavior by the role model, e.g. a mother cooking or a father fixing something, which the child may then imitate. Imitation is more likely if the child perceives the model to be similar to themselves, e.g. same sex, attractive or high status, and engaging in behavior that is rewarded or approved. Identification occurs when a child relates to a model and wants to be like them. This psychological process means the child sees the model as someone like me or someone they aspire to be. Identification influences who children choose to imitate, and this is often someone of the same sex who behaves in a way that aligns with societal gender norms. Reinforcement and the role of consequences. Vicarious reinforcement. Children observe others being rewarded or punished for gendered behavior and learn from these outcomes. E.g., if a girl sees her sister being praised for wearing a dress, she may imitate this to gain similar praise. If a boy is mocked for playing with a doll, other boys may avoid the same behavior. Direct reinforcement. Children are directly rewarded or punished for gender-typed behavior. Boys may be praised for being active and assertive. Girls might be encouraged to be nurturing or tidy. This differential reinforcement supports the development of gender-specific behaviors. SLT also involves internal mental processes that mediate the learning experience. Bandura identified 4 key cognitive factors. Attention. Child notices a behavior, e.g. a footballer's skill. Retention. Child remembers the behavior. Motivation. Child wants to replicate the behavior, possibly due to expected reward. Motor reproduction. Child must be physically able to reproduce the behavior. Role of the media and cultural influences. Media sources such as television, books, advertisements, and games provide a wealth of gender role information. These portray stereotyped behaviors and reinforce what is considered appropriate for each gender. The widespread portrayal of men and women in stereotypical roles, e.g. assertive men, nurturing women, influences children's understanding of gender roles. Beyond indirect learning, children are also explicitly taught gender-appropriate behaviors via direct tuition. For example, parents may say boys don't cry or girls don't fight. This begins once language develops and helps reinforce gender norms through verbal instruction. Once gender-appropriate behavior is internalized, Bandura argued that children become self-regulating. Rather than always relying on external rewards or punishments, children begin to monitor and guide their own behavior according to learned gender norms. This is referred to as environmental determinism in SLT. A strength of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it is supported by research evidence. For example, Smith and Lloyd, 1978, showed that when adults believed a baby was a boy, they encouraged more adventurous play, while the same baby dressed as a girl was praised for being pretty and passive. This highlights how differential reinforcement based on perceived gender can shape children's behavior from a very early age, supporting the idea that gender roles are learnt through observation and reinforcement. Therefore, such evidence backs the claim that social learning processes are a significant factor in the development of gender roles. A strength of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it can explain cultural and historical changes in gender roles. For example, gender roles in Western societies have become more fluid over recent decades, with less rigid distinctions between what is considered masculine or feminine behavior. Since there has been no biological change in humans during this period, these changes are better explained by shifts in social expectations and norms, which have influenced reinforcement of new gender behaviors. This shows that social learning theory can account for changes in gender roles over time, which is something biological approaches cannot easily explain. A strength of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it is supported by specific experimental studies showing imitation of same-sex models. For instance, Perry and Bussey, 1979, found that children aged 8 to 9 imitated same-sex models in a study where boys and girls observed models choosing gender-neutral fruit. Children later selected the fruit chosen by their same-sex model. This suggests that children learn gender-appropriate behavior through observation and imitation of same-sex individuals. Therefore, this research supports the social learning explanation that identification with same-sex models is key in gender development. A limitation of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that modeling may be constrained by pre-existing stereotypes. Perry and Bussey, 1979, found that children only imitated same-sex models when their behavior was in line with traditional gender stereotypes. For example, children did not imitate same-sex models displaying gender-inconsistent behavior, e.g., a boy wearing a dress, suggesting imitation is filtered through existing beliefs about gender. This implies that while observation is important, children may not adopt all behaviors they see, especially if those behaviors conflict with internalized norms. A strength of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it is consistent with cross-cultural findings on gender roles. The theory can account for variations in gender behavior across cultures, which biological approaches often struggle to explain. For instance, some cultures have more fluid gender roles, suggesting that social context, including observed behaviors and reinforcement, plays a large part in shaping what is considered gender appropriate. This supports SLT's assumption that gender roles are socially learned rather than biologically fixed. A strength of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it acknowledges the role of media and other wider social influences in shaping gender behavior. Steinke, 2008, found that media portrayals influence children's gender stereotypes and perceptions of gender roles. This supports SLT's claim that behavior can be learned through observation of people in media, not just parents or peers. Therefore, SLT provides a more comprehensive explanation of gender development by including indirect reinforcement and modeling from various sources. A limitation of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it does not explain age-related changes in gender development. According to cognitive theories like Kohlberg's, children only start actively seeking same-sex role models after developing gender constancy at around age 6. SLT assumes learning happens from birth onwards, ignoring the role of biological maturation and cognitive development. Therefore, SLT may be too simplistic and reductionist, failing to account for the developmental processes involved in gender identity. A limitation of the social learning theory as an explanation of gender development is that it underestimates the role of biology in gender development. For example, research suggests hormones like testosterone influence gendered behaviors such as aggression. Buss, 1989, also found cross-cultural similarities in mate preferences, indicating biological factors. These findings suggest that while social learning contributes to gender development, biological predispositions may shape behaviors that are then reinforced socially. Therefore, SLT may not provide a complete explanation of gender development without considering innate biological influences. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.